Tell me about this.
So this is when Stephen Hawking passed away. So I did a version of his chair. So that's why again I started painting. I painted this Naruto thing the other day. So I used these to paint. Brushes are here, there just for the small touch-ups and all.
You know, one of my first inpoints into the world of arts was Rob from Pogo.
He's a friend of mine.
He is, yeah.
We were in Amsterdam together.
Oh.
And funny thing, he still looks the same though.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
He does. He's not aging.
I was like, bro, what is your secret? Like, how do you look the same? Like, exactly the same. You haven't aged a bit.
Yeah.
And he just said one simple thing, bro, just don't get stressed out.
And we were looking at some of your inspirations, and since we have now started recording properly, I'll just want to repeat a few things. So one is Takashi Murakami.
Yeah.
So, and this is the name of his illustration.
No, this is the book.
Okay,
it's also part of one of the shows that he has done. It's called The Octopus Eats His Own Leg. So Murakami is one of my biggest inspirations, even as a person, as what he is and what he symbolizes. Because he is someone who has sort of blurred the lines between what is fine art, what is pop art, what is commercial art. So he is like a rare entity who has actually combined all of those things together, and he's become like a household name. Like people like all the pages Hype Beast, Hype Stuff. They promote Takashi Murakami, who's a fine artist. So you don't see that happening. Usually it's mostly the museums and the galleries and all who talk about art and fine artists in that sense. But this is a guy where he is a guy who is talked about equally in the museum world, in the art world, in the pop culture, and in the whole hype culture, everywhere.
And you were saying he has also done the album covers, so Weeknd has the Weeknd.
No. This one, he had done this one. Kanye's work, most of Kanye's stuff. Then Weeknd stuff was actually right now is sort of for his tour is by Sorayama. Hajime Sorayama, another one of my key inspirations. But I'll just show you some of Murakami's stuff. It's very interesting because he comes from a very, let's say, an old school of Japanese art forms. Yeah. And he just started from Japan and became a huge, for example, stuff like this. This is very pop art, but it's also very dark in its sense. It's very surreal at the same time. And the use of colors and everything.
And the eyes.
I have a fascination with eyes and stuff. I had a giant painting which just had thousands and hundreds of eyes painted on it. But I think I gave it away to a friend. Unfortunately or fortunately, because he really liked it. I don't sell my paintings. Sometimes if I feel like someone who really resonates with the painting, someone that I know who actually appreciates the work, I just give it away.
Wow.
I shouldn't do that. Yeah, so stuff like this. I think you might have seen this flower. A lot of it's like this.
I have seen this.
Yeah, so this is the famous Murakami flower. So see, that's the thing. That's the beauty of art and design. When you have seen a certain style or certain element of an artist everywhere, but you still don't know the name or who the artist is. That's kind of a big compliment.
Yeah, but what makes it unique? I can't tell it from a distance.
I mean, it's just that, you know how a smiley is, right?
Yeah.
How a smiley is unique. What makes it so different and so unique? Similarly, this whole concept of just a sunflower and this, because it projects a sense of, I think, happiness. And Murakami's whole take on art and him as a person is someone who's very positive and happy. He always laughs around. He dresses up in weird octopus costumes, cosplay costumes.
Wow.
He'll be smiling, laughing. But he also does artworks which are very graphic and very dark, and it's cold. So he is a perfect sense of contrast and duality in his personality and also in his art.
Got it.
Like it's the same guy who paints flowers and stuff like this, and there's the same guy who paints stuff like this, which is a bit more on the macabre side, like stuff like this.
Yeah.
See, yeah, it's very nice. See again,
Yeah.
the colors, and it's just chaotic, but I love it.
Yeah, man. In that, the graphic novel Watchmen, there's this thing, no, Rorschach's test.
The Rorschach's mask, which gives
Yeah.
the Rorschach test, basically. Yeah.
Either you can see like happiness in it, or you can see your parents fighting in it.
Yeah.
It's about like how it can be a different interpretation for every person.
That's one of the ink blot test, right?
Ink
the
blot
Rorschach
test.
ink
Yeah,
blot test.
yeah,
I really like the concept of putting that on
Yeah.
his face as a mask.
Yes.
I actually had one of the DC Comics Doom's Clock with Rorschach on the cover. It was a rare edition which came out. I have it in my house.
Wow.
It's that holographic cover you have, which changes, right?
Yeah.
So I had that comic book edition where the
I have
mask
that.
kept changing.
I have that one with me.
It's a really good one. Keep it safe, yeah. That's a really good one.
I'm also taking my time to absorb a lot of it. I'll show you an artist that I really like, okay? So you tell me what's your interpretation of... so his name is Akira Kusaka, will it be Japanese?
Yeah. Akira is a Japanese name.
Yeah, Akira. So it's him, okay? And what he does is he has a thing for moon. And it takes me somewhere else.
It has a sense of melancholy,
Yeah.
which I really like.
Dude, look at this.
There's a good sense of space.
Good sense of space and like a good kind of a melancholy.
Yeah.
Like you don't... I don't necessarily...
I love it. I would definitely like to be in this mindset somewhere. If I go somewhere,
man.
if I'm out there somewhere, I want to experience this kind of feeling or moments.
Yeah. And so I call it like my dream language. Like I'm very interested in the languages in which people dream. So when I dream, or maybe let's say daydream, this is the kind of imagery that like I want to be in. What's your dream language? Like what is the kind of landscapes?
I think I can show you. Like I had.
Oh, you paint like your dreams?
I painted one of my dreams long time back, and I could remember it more accurately. That's why I could paint it. Because otherwise, I forget easily. I forget everything actually.
People write their dreams. You paint your dreams. Yeah.
I try to.
Very cool, dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, that's me over there.
Dude.
Just observing things.
You know, there is a question I ask some of my guests. When you dream, is it in POV format or do you see yourself in the dreams? So it's very interesting that you're standing there in the dream. Sometimes it's in the POV format.
POV format. Sometimes I see in POV and sometimes I see myself also.
Yes, like there are different kinds of dreams.
There are different kinds of things. For example, I saw this whole thing. Then I saw like pieces of fish cut. And then that's why I put it here in a very abstract or a very crass drawing style way. This is all painted style, and then you have stuff like this where I was not happy with the result.
Like, how did you make this? What like material has been used on this?
This is acrylic.
Okay. The dreams are fascinating, dude. You get so many ideas from it if you know how to capture it. Like, have you been keeping a track of the dreams you have been having lately?
I remember some of them which were very, like, I only remember the violent ones. So I really have, sometimes I have weird surreal dreams. Like one time I saw like a chicken in like space riding a comet and shitting rainbows. So sometimes it's weird like that, and sometimes it can be very bloody or violent, like where I see myself like getting chopped off, like getting amputated, and like falling. It's a very common thing. Or I see some of my closed one being killed or being beaten. So there's a whole stark contrast between what I see, and mostly the violent ones actually stay back with me. So I don't want to go there and actually paint those things which I see in my dreams, which are very violent, towards the people I care about. So that's why I usually don't try to write things down or remember most of my dreams. Weird ones are fun. I like them. But I kind of I've stopped seeing those weird ones anymore. I only see mostly violent stuff in my dreams, and I tend to forget them as soon as I can.
Yeah. I love the painting there also.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That's just again scribbles.
For a change, like there is color. Yeah, like different color, because I have seen a lot of red in your work. So this is on a yellow palette.
Yeah, yellow and pink.
Wow. This is lovely. Is it kind of a nest?
It's kind of like a nest, or kind of like a creature.
An opening.
An opening, and then this is like one creature which is like the head with a lot of eyes on top of her, and then you have like a monster kind of a figure just staring straight.
Yeah.
It's very like comic book style drawings. So I've taught myself how to draw by mimicking comic books and mangas. That's why you can see most of my paintings involve a lot of drawings and also a lot of painting stuff also combined together. Then there's one more artist I like. His name is Hajime Sorayama. So again, he does a lot of erotic stuff, but he's actually a traditional artist. None of this is actually digitally done. This is all hand painted.
That's very rare, no? Like making such designs hand painted.
This is illustrations. Even today with like all the technology, like I can't paint like this. Even with using like Photoshop or Illustrator, I can't do this kind of realism even digitally. And he used to do it just with watercolors and color pencils. And I just love his stuff. He's also very, like, in his approach, he does a lot of erotic stuff, but his retro-futuristic style of illustration, where he mixes, like, an air of something that comes from the past, but also it's very futuristic, which I really like. You can see all this will get censored. Like, these are my favorite pieces. Like
so
this
good.
series. Like, look at this. So right now, one of like his sculptures are quite popular. So I think Dior did a collection with him, and he had a giant sculpture. They're one of his shows. Then Weekend is touring with a giant sculpture of Sorayama as his central stage as a backdrop. So he's one more, another big inspiration. And then, apart from these, I love reading mangas. So this is like a Naruto first edition. It's like a vintage copy.
Oh, it's the first edition.
It's the first edition, which has 3 of them together. 3 books in one. It was the first one which came out with the 3 combo. See, it's like old. The whole thing just... The chlorine has run off.
You know, I've only read one manga in my life, and that is... so I'm a big fan of this filmmaker, Makoto Shinkai.
Oh yeah, I know him,
and I've read the manga of 5 centimeters per second.
Oh, nice.
So that's my aesthetic.
Okay.
Like the the way you show textures, the shadows. I think the way... because he used to design games before like getting into filmmaking. So the interplay of lights and how they fall on a person. Like if you see any of his works, like this latest film Suzume, like अगर कोई train में से जा रहा है और बाहर से sun है, तो कैसे cut
the light play, the shadow. Even Ghibli does that a lot. Studio Ghibli with the what was his name? Hayao Miyazaki.
I saw the Studio Ghibli book here. Yeah. It's beautiful. Which is your favorite Studio Ghibli film?
I mean, almost all of them. I like all of them. Like obviously, Fireflies Graveyard. That was a very good one. Then I really like Spirited Away is also nice because the kind of characters and the monsters they show there, I could really see so many characters. So that was an sensory overload of colors and characters coming in play. I loved it. Then Moving Castle. I think I like all of them. They are all pieces of like art.
Which book is this? Which is called the book?
No, this is just my sketchbook.
This is beautiful. Like, are these up for sale or have you made it yourself? Like,
I bought it. Like you get this brown book.
Can I get it on Amazon?
Yeah.
What are you saying?
You can get it in Art Station here.
What are you saying?
I painted on this because I was testing markers and stuff. Usually it's all blank like this.
But still, dude.
It's really nice. So this I was doing some sort of like.
This is so good.
So this is Frida Kahlo. I was just experimenting with.
Yeah.
My cushion there.
Yeah.
So I was just experimenting with crayons. Because a part of me right now is just trying to.
This is beautiful.
Get back to how I used to draw and paint as a kid.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the most strongest conviction towards a painting or an art form can only come through innocence and the hard work you can put in as a kid. You can't do it as an adult.
I think this is doing something to me. You know when you look at this is speaking to me. Like I don't know. I'm currently reading this book on Vincent Van Gogh, Lust for Life.
Okay, nice.
And when Vincent Van Gogh, before he got into painting, he used to do these sketches. And वो एक बार किसी को अपना sketch दिखाने गए थे when he met his first mentor and he's saying इसके बारे में ये खराब है, you don't understand anatomy, you're not getting the faces right, but by the end of the time he stopped like speaking with him. He's like, but कुछ है इसमें. I don't know what's there about it, in terms of the anatomy of it, it is wrong. But it is like doing something to me.
Yeah.
And then Vincent Van Gogh like leaves it for him. And it's like and he had written that's the best kind of a compliment you get, like hey, I want to have it.
I don't know what awarded it is great, but I just like it for some reason.
Yeah, you also do that, like when you just give it to someone, hey, I want you to have this.
Yeah, just have it. Yeah, if it's speaking to you.
Yeah, they're particularly the cheekbones in this. No?
So I was doing some random pictures for my friend. This is actually one of my friend, Nayan. So I just thought, okay, I want to paint something. This is again Chaitanya. I painted a friend of mine. So I was just going through all random pictures of my friends, and I just started sketching.
And this is all crayons.
This is all crayons.
Which company ke crayons you use?
I don't know which oil pastels do I have. Kevin, which oil pastels? Camel. Yeah, I'm really not fussy about materials. Nice. I just paint with whatever I get. I feel like if you have the skills, tools don't matter that much. It's a friend of mine, AB, which I painted. Yo, AB, this is you. I painted you. He's again a friend of mine. So I was like just doing random.
They haven't seen these, like your friends?
I think they have.
This is beautiful.
So this is my old stuff. I'll show you one more art book. In my bag, get that sketchbook, no? There's one. Yeah, there. But my original style of work... Okay, actually I have something really fun. When I first started drawing, I think, I just found this old, like leather-bound book, old tiny sketchbook which I used to carry when I used to travel a lot, like in the early days. So I used to just draw stuff like this.
Dude!
So it's so old, the paper.
This is 2014?
This is 2014. This is 2014 stuff. I should keep traveling and keep us some sort of a journal. But I was mostly a wild guy. So whatever time I could get in between traveling and going for raves and stuff, I would find my time to sketch on some stuff like this. Again, see, most of it is just like how I would draw as a kid. Because I loved drawing as a child, but unfortunately, like I could never get into an art school, or I was not encouraged enough to draw or paint. So part of me now wants to just explore the excitement that I could have had as a kid if I had given the opportunity to draw and paint and sketch.
Wow.
This is old stuff.
This is beautiful.
Old stuff. So I just used to use colors.
And what material have you used on this? Like, are they pencil colors?
Yeah, the pencil colors and pens.
Yeah.
Because those were easy to carry around.
Oh, this is lovely.
So this again with pens and stuff. Yeah, mostly stuff like this. Because this was easy. So I started small, sketching on small books like this. Just experimenting and painting stuff. It slowly started getting a little bit intense. Then
oh wow,
it's just as a pastime, as a fun thing.
This is your Tare Zameen Par diary ki by the end of it, it's like so professional.
Yeah, like this. The first time I used color in this one, again in this one, watercolors.
Then this is a time machine for you, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad I didn't lose it. I was just going through it. I was
We were just discussing with someone like the importance of archiving things properly and keeping your old collection.
Yeah.
I was telling someone, I tell my mother, don't send my stuff in Raddi because then Netflix will come and make a documentary on me and it won't be there. We need such stuff.
Yeah, man, I need to keep everything safe, especially for personal reasons.
Yeah,
like, I want to look at it, feel like, oh, I was doing all this. I was drawing all this, like stuff like this. It slowly started getting more intense and intense, more detailed. See, I used to just work with small stuff before.
Yeah.
Like this, for example, this.
What have you written? Like, I'm also...
When you
walk through the garden,
better keep the devil in the hole. It's a song, actually. Remember The Wire?
Yeah.
So The Wire, the song, the first episode, there's a song, no? The song, the line goes actually like this. It's like a whole soul music thing. So they had sang this line there. So it really stuck to me.
Dude.
They're talking about the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're going through the garden, like you better keep the devil in the hole. You should never, mess up the paradise, basically.
Oh,
Just again, this more stuff like this. So yeah, this was my old stuff.
Dude, I have to ask you, and like this is such a beautiful diary also.
I got this randomly. I was swimming. I think I was in Gokarna. I was swimming in the ocean, and I just came out of a nice little swim, and somebody was selling this right in front of me. I just went out, and there's someone holding a book and like this. I'm like, what is this? And I bought it. Since then, I've been drawing on this one.
Changed your life. Yeah.
Yeah, sorta.
When was the first time you drew something? Which is your first like drawing memory?
My first drawing memory would be of all the Dragon Ball Z characters.
Yeah.
Like I was obsessed with that. That's actually done by my friend Akshara. She had gifted me this as a birthday gift because she knew I really liked Dragon Ball Z. So what I used to do, I used to collect a lot of pencil boxes. So actually it's fascinating. Right now I'm actually working on a series called Portraits of Childhood Traumas, where I'm painting stuff from my childhood and the traumas that were associated with it. Like, for example, Dragon Ball Z, Goku, I used to collect those pencil boxes. So back in the day, we used to get a lot of counterfeit Dragon Ball Z pencil boxes, which had like all the Dragon Ball Z characters illustrated on them, printed on them. And I had no idea because I was a kid. It was back in late 90s, I think. And India didn't have we didn't have proper internet, or we didn't know what Dragon Ball Z was. Anime is basically. But I was so fascinated because the only form of cartoons I've been watching was like Spider-Man and Darkwing Duck, Donald Duck and all that. And suddenly I get this overload of characters with spiky hair, different eyes. The whole visual language is different when it came to anime. And I was really fascinated by it. And I took to it. And I was like, no, I'm going to draw this. I'm going to replicate this. So that's my first memory of actually drawing Goku in different forms. Like first he'd have black hair. When he goes into Super Saiyan, he'll have golden hair. It didn't make sense to me. I thought those were different characters, but I kept replicating and drawing them because I was fascinated by them.
Yeah.
And right now I'm trying to do the same thing. Right now, back then I was drawing. So drawing those characters taught me how to draw. And I've been only drawing since then. Painting I can consider painting now and then, but painting was just 20% or 15% of all the artworks that I made. Most of my artworks were illustrations and drawings. And now I want to paint. So after almost doing this for 20 years of just drawing and sketching, I'm moving to painting. That's why I started painting all the things that I used to draw as a kid.
Dude, this is so good.
So because if as a kid that was easy for me to draw, if I could do it as a kid and that taught me how to draw, then I can go back there and again start fresh with a new style of illustration, which is painting.
So I have to ask you something, and I might be using the wrong terminology for it, but do you have a obsession or a thing with tentacles?
Yeah. A lot of, I think I love things which are in motion or fluid. So, for example, all this kind of lines and tentacles and stuff, it's very
Is it right to call those tentacles?
You can call them tentacles. Some people call them snakes. Some people call them like intestine. Like even I don't have a name for it. It's something that some people call it ribbons. But I don't have a name for it. I just like painting that kind of stuff or drawing that kind of stuff. Like I like things to be in motion, things to be very chaotic, but also making sense. Like if you look at intestines and tentacles and stuff, they look so visceral. They look so, there's some sort of a feeling that you get when you look at coils and folds like snakes, reptiles. So I get the same feeling when I paint like all this tentacles or whatever you call them. So it's there in most of my artworks. It's very reoccurring thing.
What do you think of the depiction of octopus in arts? Like I think like it's there, like the way octopuses.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly in Japanese.
Yeah, and
art.
and particularly how it is like linked with sexuality, particularly how.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of an erotic thing. Like I said, this kind of shape and fluidic stuff, which is it kind of ignites a very eerie, not eerie exactly, a kind of a gray area in your brain or your head, which is very like you can't pinpoint. Are you feeling disturbed? Are you getting aroused?
Man. Yeah, man.
Like what is that exactly you're feeling? Like you see a snake, you get scared.
Yeah.
But I get fascinated by it. My father used to have pet snakes before. So I always liked snakes. I loved the coils and twists and turns. And also with octopuses, I think it's very much like, because if you see an octopus, it's very membrane. There's a membrane kind of a thing. The skin, the whole structure is very slippery and very wet.
Yeah.
And I think that is very much similar to a lot of sexual stuff that we see around. The whole concept of something being very mucousy, very coily and wet and very fleshy. So I think that's why there's a lot of sexual connotations around octopuses.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah. So I see hands in this. I see eyes in this. I maybe see a face in this. And
so this
do you call it something?
Yeah, this one's called the Collector. So this was part of my exhibit in 2000. Was it 2020? When did I meet you there? 21, yeah. This is part of my exhibit called Black BLCK in 2021. It was part of the show. It's called The Collector. See, there's a whole, like a person, like a face here sitting there. There's actually, see the hands are here. It's holding like a whole face here. You can see the eyes.
So I see the hands and the eyes. Okay.
And so that's a whole head that's been held together by this faceless figure, just kind of collecting things which are all intercoils of body parts, dentures, eyes, like face. There's a little penis over here. Second penis over there. So this thing about some of my paintings and drawings, they do have a lot of penises around.
So are they supposed to be black and white, or can they have a hint of, let's say?
I love drawing and painting in black and white.
Nice.
Because for my whole life, I've just used black ballpoint pens to draw.
Wow.
So, and I've never used pencils. I've never used acrylic or paint or anything. So I'm very comfortable using black and white. So this was from the show, that particular show only had black and white artworks displayed.
This is beautiful. And this is also a hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this thing also has a personality of its own.
Yeah.
What? And this is maybe, these are the lips, this is
Yeah,
the face.
this is a face.
Yeah.
So basically it just, this signifies, as part of the exhibit, there's a head which is just collecting everything in form of chaos.
Wow.
And there's a whole distinction between the black and white. So, so the white part is all the limbs and face and things that you see around being mashed up into form of a flow or a smoke, which just being collected by this faceless
Yeah.
character.
And so when you drew this face, I see these hints of nose and the lips and the eyes.
Yeah.
So you have to like draw those to get the right structure.
I mean, I have a basic structure in my mind, and I sometimes use a chalk or a pencil just to
yeah.
get the form correct.
Yeah.
Just to
that's
see the
what I want.
positioning.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's all improvisation.
Lovely. Yeah.
Keep this one here.
And what's the purpose of this? Like
I was doing a small little thing for this one. Royal Enfield. I was teaching like a workshop, and I was teaching about composition and stuff on this, on a video.
Is that a penis?
Oh shit, that's a good question though. That's a very good question. Oh shit. Now that you say, now that when you've seen it, I can't unsee it now. It looks like a penis. So that's why again I started painting. I painted this Naruto thing the other day. So and I don't use brush. I don't like brushes because I've always used a pen. I like the feel and touch and the pressure of a pen, and brushes, I'm very impatient. So I don't like brush. So that's why I just use knives, and I use paint straight out of the bottle.
Knife.
I mean, those palette knives, like these. So I use these to paint. Brushes are there just for the small touch-ups and all. But I mostly paint straight out of like the tubes, or I use these to just splatter paint on things.
Oh, dude. Shit, I didn't know ki they are used for actual painting also. सिर्फ दिवाली के time देखे हैं.
No, these are for paintings only.
So
that's why I'm like, see, there's less of drawing, but see, again, this can be considered drawing in a way because of the thick black lines, but everything is painted. None of it is drawing.
Can I touch it?
Yeah. I hope it has dried because there's a lot of thick layers of paint that gone in.
Do you own this place, or are you on rent?
No, I'm renting this one.
So how cool is your landlord to like be okay with
I
this?
mean, he's also, I think he's a DOP.
Oh, now it makes sense.
So he understands, and he's a very good landlord. He's very chill and all, and he likes the fact that I'm using this as an art studio.
And what is this?
Oh, this again, I experimented with some colors.
This is a very I haven't seen it. This is different from everything I've seen until now in your designs, है ना?
Yeah. So I had discovered this thick marker, which I used to paint all this extra. This is ink. This is high pigment ink, which they use for using street markers to mark concrete and stuff. So it's like I've used that. This one's called monkey brains. Because see, you can still see those structures I make everywhere there inside this.
They're there.
And this whole face looks like a monkey
You
head.
retained it here also. Yeah.
So basically, and all the all movements, they're like monkey hands basically.
Have you also hidden one small penis somewhere here?
No, unfortunately not. The monkey is the penis. Or the dickhead.
You know how in Fight Club they would like have those like few frames where
Oh yeah.
the penis shot.
Penis shot.
Yeah. And is this also your personal diary, or is it?
Yeah, it's I think it's, again, I get a lot of diaries and stuff. Yeah, this is also my like diary. So I was doing an NFT project. So this is just the basic sketch that I was sketching out, just ideas and stuff. Yeah, this is not filled yet.
How many diaries do you think do you have since the childhood? Like, are they in hundreds, which have like?
I've lost most of them.
Oh shit!
But this one I really it's the last surviving one, but I really like this one because it has some of my like artists also signing. Like this is this one. What the fuck was his name? Sketchy Stories. What was Kirby Rosanes?
Okay.
So signed by Kirby Rosanes. So this
Is this spine?
Yeah, that's just fine. So I was doing a lot of research and stuff, like reading up on a lot of Vedas and Upanishads at one point. I was really into like all that Pancha Agni Vidya and like reading up on like Chandogya and stuff like that. So that is when I actually started drawing this kind of stuff. So this has to do with the significance of an upright spinal column and the concept of how the seed travels upward for enlightenment and the seed goes down to the soil or the earth when you're actually becoming more primal. So this whole sketch was sort of based out of that, and I used to write down things that I would learn or infer from all my research stuff.
Yeah.
Like for example, I had written down a whole small note about like ego. So this goes like ignorance of the way in which the universe works that finds the individual, that binds the individual to samsara, with the universe and a false notion that it has about its own self, that it has an independence of its own, is what builds up the ego. So like for example, our sorrows are in a way created by our own selves, because they follow as a consequence of us not abiding by the law of the universe. It's when we actually fight the universe, when we are actually against all the natural order of things, that's when we actually build up our sorrows. Like when we are not aware of it. Like if you're not aware of a situation or a problem, then you won't know what is making you unhappy. And your sense that you are independent of everything that's working around you, or the things that have built you, be it nature, be it consciousness or whatever, that is the biggest form of ignorance you can have. And that builds up your ego.
This is beautiful, dude.
Yeah, so stuff like this. This has to do with...
How long did you make this? Like
This is for like 2-3 hours, maybe?
No, when did you make this?
This was, again, I think 2016. Okay. 16, I think from 16 till continuing.
Is that a heart?
Yeah, that's the heart. That's the vocal cord.
With a face in it.
Yeah. I mean, the vocal cord actually looks like a face.
Oh.
If you go and see the larynx and the pharynx, it actually has a shape of a face in a way. Yeah. So I was actually trying to... there's a concept of saman, weightage and voice weightage and the kind of... how to put it? Syllables, use of syllables, voice and weightage. So this was the concept behind that. Like how does, when you speak, when you say things, how is your heart or how are your organs responding to the kind of things that you're saying? Again, notes I used to make. So
can we see the planet ones?
Yeah, so this was, I think I made it during, I was in an art residency with the government of India, I think Lalit Kala Academy.
Okay.
They had sent me to Ujjain, I think it was Ujjain, yeah, where one of the Kumbh Melas were happening. Simhast Kumbh Mela. So it happens every 4 or 8 years, I've forgotten, multiples of 4. So I think it was one of that time where actually Jupiter...
Yeah, I was saying Jupiter.
Yeah, so there's a lot of significance given to the movement of Jupiter during that time, for that particular Kumbh Mela. So I just was sketching some ideas around that at that time. This is a very weird drawing. This whole thing just has a syntax water tank.
Yeah, I was thinking.
So, actually what happened in this camp, there was a giant thunderstorm. Like a big ass thunderstorm which actually destroyed our art camp. Completely. Just in matter of few minutes, I just went out for a smoke and a little bit of tea. I was chilling with my friend and suddenly there's a gust of wind and there was a big storm, rain, and like whirlwind or something, and it just blew away and destroyed everything. Wow. And the only cemented thing in the entire compound was this.
Wow.
And me and my friend, we hid under this.
Wow.
During the whole storm, and my friend was screaming for his mom because his mom is really old. She's also an artist, and she was stuck in the storm somewhere inside the wreckage, and he was trying to get out of there. And I was like, "You can't go in; you'll get killed." And this is because there was like all this teen sheets and stuff flying around. People got injured and all. But I didn't want to make anything more of it. So I just drew a syntax. Again, stuff like this. Then this,
Oh wow.
this. It's the old stuff.
That's an owl, no?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And this is how detailed. Like I used to.
So when is some of it doodling?
Yeah.
So when does something stop being a doodle and like evolves into what comes next after doodling? Like or maybe it becomes like, let's say, a picture or a painting.
I would say, see, doodling. I do a lot of workshops on doodling, and doodling is actually has to do with the process, but not the outcome. So doodling is how you're working on the piece, how you're doodling. What defines what a doodle is. So what happens with doodling is you have to be sort of in a state of daydreaming when you're making it. You're not entirely focused on what you're drawing, but at the same time, you are focused on something else entirely.
Crazy.
And then when you're doing something, making something completely out of your subconscious, that is a doodle.
So basically, the best doodling happens in schools and colleges when you
Exactly. And boring meetings and classes and stuff. Yeah, that is like the most basic form of doodling and the basic idea behind the process of doodling. And then later now it became like a thing where people are like illustrating in doodle style and all. But that's not what the process defines what a doodle is. Yeah, stuff like this.
So is this like the outer world, like in a way?
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was doing, see this, I used to be obsessed with space.
Dude, I am obsessed with space.
Yeah.
You have, because when I saw the Jupiter one, I'm like, hey, we have reached something like where
Common grounds.
Yeah, common grounds. I'm obsessed with moon, celestial bodies, and Mars.
Mars. Oh, Mars is very fascinating. I find Mars very fascinating.
I have a private account which has Mars in it, like because I'm like
space nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, stuff like this. Again, on my sketchbooks. I miss actually doing stuff on my sketchbook, to be honest. Because I moved on to bigger stuff, bigger canvases and all. So I don't do most, because I find small paper, like small sizes, a bit constrictive now. Because I like the freedom of like movement.
Yeah.
That's the wrong term. I don't know how to say it, but I just like the freedom of movement. Yeah, stuff like this. Again, I was at one point I was obsessed with making stars.
This is a spaceman.
Yeah, I was obsessed with making stars, space and stuff like this at one point.
But are you not obsessed with space anymore?
I am, but it keeps changing. I still am. I'm still fascinated. Overall, I love science. My background is in engineering.
Yeah. Which engineering?
Mechanical. And I did 2 years of chemical also.
Tell me about this.
So this is when Stephen Hawking passed away. So I did a version of his chair, like an empty chair.
Where is this chair?
Sorry?
Where is this chair like kept? Like what's the place?
I mean, a version of the chair is in the drawing.
Yeah.
So it's exactly placed in space.
Yeah.
That's it. Because he had a very outwardly but very inward take on things and around him. So I just made my own version of his chair. And see all this, again, those tentacle things that you, like, or ribbons, whatever you call it, they are there. Again, a penis, obviously you can't go anywhere without a penis in my drawings. Yeah, this was more recent one was this, I think. So you can see how it transitions into stuff like this, and this went into becoming something like this. So I was sort of painting like an environment like this. This is a tower. Far away, and this is like a view from here. Shit, I never clicked a picture of this. Yeah, so this is what's happening, sketching, drawing.
But like seeing it like that, like I'm seeing a story suddenly everywhere. It's like a trip of its own, you know?
Yeah, correct.
I feel I feel a little high right now. I don't know if it is the...
No, it's just Assam tea.
Yeah, you know, this happens like when you are getting exposed to good arts, like it kind of like rejuvenates you and like...
Yeah, it is trippy in a way, like it is. And also because like I used to be fascinated with a lot of surreal stuff. like I love Dali's work. Now, if you see Dali's work, it's trippy as hell.
Yeah, man.
Like you can like just
the clock, if we can take it, the close-up of it, that's the best thing. The first thing was that like clock. Dude, yeah.
So that's my workstation. That's mostly what I do on my digital
Is
stuff.
that a moon like there? Like,
Which one?
The main like background.
Yeah, correct. Spotted correctly.
Because I could have easily said it's an eye also, but I thought of it as a
It's a
moon.
mix of both.
Yeah.
It's a mix of both. So this one, I had done a video, sort of an art presentation where I painted this, and I've put that moon kind of a shape, which is also an eye. Red part is sort of like the pupil. And so it's called the pupil, like the black part, right? Yeah. So that's the pupil over there, and the surrounding part is the eye, the whole thing, and everything around it is all just chaos, and it's like my space. Like if I see the space through my lens, I would see the entirety of surrounding and space in forms of coils and twists and turns, which are like chaotic in its nature, but it also gives a form to it. It looks very chaotic, but there's so much distinctive forms around it. There's a rectangle, there's two sphere, right? So it kind of makes it, that's what I feel like art is all about. It is the perfect balance of something organic and inorganic mixed together. And this is like the waning moon. So I've done a whole video of me holding a self-portrait of mine, and I'm just going half moon, full moon, and I'm just going off the whole thing from left to right.
You know, there's a folder I made in my photo gallery. It's called Calm. I go to it every time I want to feel calm. Okay. So I'll show you the kind of stuff it has in it. And now I saw this on Reddit. I don't know who the artist is, but it speaks to me.
Nice.
And I think I used to follow this Facebook page called A Way to Blue.
Okay.
It just had the paintings which have, or the illustrations which have an element of blue in them. So it's there.
Nice.
I used to follow this page. I think it got shut down.
Speaking of blue, have you seen this episode called Zima Blue?
Oh yes, in Love, Death and Robots. Zima Blue, yes.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes in the entire series.
Yeah.
It's so brilliantly done.
So brilliantly
So
done.
brilliant. That one blue thing just keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
It was the last episode of season 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
In the chronology of things.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. And when I was seeing one of your illustrations, that reminded me of I'm forgetting the name. I'm really sorry. The guy from the Watchmen.
Rorschach.
No, the blue.
Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
And one of the paintings, the anatomy one, like where the guy's like this and the something is coming. It reminded me of Dr. Manhattan.
Nice. Okay, that's a very good compliment. Yeah, I like Dr. Manhattan. I like
and
Watchmen.
the whole arc of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've actually I had read the whole Watchmen thing. So before I watched the movie, I was already reading
the show.
Huh?
There's a show also.
Oh, there's a show. Yeah, I didn't like the show that much.
I love the show.
Oh shit, we have. Okay, agree to disagree then.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of the original comic or the graphic novel, which was their Watchmen. So I've been following that. I liked the movie after the movie came out, but I was kind of disappointed with the show. I think only one season came out, no? With the cliffhanger?
They made it that way, I think. Yeah.
I think in the end, the commissioner or someone who was that? Who discovers that he's actually a villain, right? I forgot the whole arc.
And it ends with her touching there's in that egg there's the superpower of the Dr. Manhattan and she swallows the egg and
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. No, but I was talking about the real Dr. Manhattan story where you are like, the date is this, and he's like, I'm done with the people.
Yeah.
The date is this.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love storytelling like that. It's brilliant. It's very philosophical at the same time.
I think the way it was captured in the graphic novel, the Dr. Manhattan arc, it wasn't captured in the movie or the show.
That's why I'm that's why the graphic novel is much more fascinating for me, because the way they had shown stuff about Dr. Manhattan, the things and how he spoke was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I feel like comic books, people actually, I love the fact that through graphic novels and comic books, you can actually sort of embark on a philosophical journey. Or the writer or the creators of this comic book can actually talk and start a dialogue of something much more deeper and much more philosophical in its true nature, using a medium which has always been considered childish. Like people consider comic book, okay, if you're a kid and you're in your young age, then you're like buying comic books, the comic books are for kids and all that stuff, but it's not. Like most of the mangas and comic books that I've read, actually I find it very fascinating, and the kind of conversations and the kind of topics that they revolve around is very highly philosophical in its nature. Like for example, I'm reading, I like Berserk, the whole manga series by Kentaro Minoura, and he's dead, but he's considered one of the...
Can I get it?
Yeah. He's considered...
I don't know a lot about it, so you'll have to tell me.
So this is Berserk. Berserk is a series. It's considered to be the greatest manga ever illustrated or created in the history of mangas, because the artist, Kentaro, is a brilliant manga artist. His panels are beyond, like each of the panels are like piece of artwork, and it's just brilliant. The style that he draws in, the use of ink and the details is like unparalleled. He'll take years or months to create one book. And he passed away recently, and the whole arc and the stories that they talk about, it's very, very deep. The kind of like the philosophy of pain that they have, and they talk about the main protagonist of the story, whose name is Guts, is actually very psychologically, I would say, a study.
Got it.
I think somebody was telling me in some of the psychology study, they kind of go through Guts's backstory and profile for traumas. So this is again a brilliant way of using a visual medium to actually express and have conversations around deeper theoretical stuff around philosophy and stoic conversations, basically.
Yeah. So I have a question about mangas in general. Like, are all mangas black and white?
Yeah.
And why is it so?
Not all. Some they try to paint, because you have to understand, like, you have to draw. When mangas were first made, you have to like ink them, sketch them. Coloring process is again a whole different level. It takes more time. And when you're producing mangas, they were produced on like very at a very low cost, or maybe can be considered as a pulp form of publication. So coloring, color printers take more money. B, Japanese mangas, they always have a deeper association with ink on paper.
Got it.
So there's always inking. Everything is done through ink on paper. And that's how even comic books were made before. First is the inking process. An artist will first ink out the whole panels and all, and then he'll go to the colorist or the color guy who'll selectively color each panels separately. It takes longer and more time. But mangas, and also you know how Japanese, they like to stick to the traditions, right? So mangas have always been in black and white. Sometimes you might find some colors here and there, but a true manga and mangas were always done in black and white.
In regard to arts in general, one of the things which, if I like club it with movies, one of the things which blew my mind recently was Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah.
What's your opinion of that?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, each frame was like a piece of art.
Yeah.
The background, the transitions, the animation.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I think it's one of the most dynamic animation movies ever made. Like the transitions, the flow of the movements. It was amazingly smooth and brilliantly done.
Yeah, when like first half of it, when she's talking to his father who is a cop, the background changes, the color changes.
The moment she hugs him, the background color changes. So the mood also changes.
Yeah.
It's brilliantly done. I just love the fact that how experimental they went with all the styles of animation that they incorporated. It's brilliant.
You know, one of my first endpoints into the world of arts was Rob from Pogo.
He's a friend of mine.
He is,
Yeah, we were in Amsterdam together.
Oh, yeah. And like, I think a lot of our like as a whole culture, like a lot of us have Rob to thank because we learned so much from his show.
Yeah, I
dude.
remember that. I grew up watching his show, Mad About Art,
Yeah,
right?
man.
Yeah, Mad. So, Mad Stuff with Rob and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, he used to do a lot of arts and crafts stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I learned how to make a mask out of cups. I think he had an episode like that. And I was a kid.
Yeah.
And funny thing, he still looks the same though.
Oh, he does.
Yeah,
He does. He's not aging.
I was like, bro, what is your secret? Like, how do you look the same? Like, exactly the same. You haven't aged a bit.
Yeah. So yeah.
And he just said one simple thing, bro. Just don't get stressed out. A simple thing.
वही तो सीखना है.
Like, don't get stressed. Have a nice way, like an easy thing. Don't get stressed.
Yeah.
You'll always be young. I was like,
Yeah.
fair enough.
You know, I want to show you something. You might know of this. Faces, Places, do you know of? There's this movie of Agnes Varda which came in. There's this artist called JR, right? Like, so I'll show it to you. It won an Oscar or something. It was in Cannes. You should see this, dude.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Yeah. Which are your like favorite documentaries when it comes to art?
One of my favorite documentaries was this called Exit Through the Gift Shop.
I don't know.
It's a documentary on Banksy again. So it was not him entirely, but his process, and they cover like Mr. Brainwash, who's the other artist who actually turned an artist by just following all the street artists throughout his life. It's a very interesting documentary piece of work which I consider very inspiring because I feel like how they narrate the whole story from a perspective of a person who was just a person who had a store, who had a clothes store. He used to sell clothes and stuff, and he randomly started like videotaping stuff. He had a handycam and he loved shooting stuff, and he went on shooting stuff here and there, and finally he goes and meet, I think, Space Invader and some of the street artists, and he starts following them, and he completely gets into it. He only does that. He tells everyone that he's making a documentary, but he's not. He just likes to shoot things, and he starts following all the street artists as they go on doing their work, painting and vandalizing and doing this stuff. And by the end of the documentary, there's a lot of multiple interviews of Banksy. I just can't pronounce his name every time it changes for me. I'm a bit dyslexic with names and stuff.
Me too. Yeah.
So he's also there in the documentary. And then by the end of the documentary, he himself becomes a very big artist. Starting from just videotaping stuff and going around. And the documentary actually talks a lot about, it's very layered in a way that what is art, what is high art, what is street art, and how do you become an artist? Do you still consider yourself to be an artist just by following some other artists and just making up your own stuff? Is it just the marketing, or is it just what is the whole thing that puts value to an art form? So it's very interesting, that documentary I really like. Then there are a bunch of documentaries I can't think of.
Have you seen Abstract, the Netflix show?
Yeah, of course.
Which are your favorite episodes?
I like the Platon episode a lot.
Yeah.
I love that episode. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then there's one more episode with that other Scandinavian artist who does, I forgot his name, who does giant sculptures inspired from nature.
Okay.
There's one episode, I forgot his name. That one is brilliant. And then what else? I keep forgetting. My memory is really bad.
No, but
I see so many stuff I keep forgetting.
The first episode was about this guy who would like Chris Newman. I think his name is Chris Newman.
He's an illustrator.
Yeah.
He does most of the stuff for Time magazine and all the magazines.
Yeah, like he combines two things and makes something interesting come out.
Yeah, I like that episode too because that actually. Oh, and also I like the Tinker Hatfield episode of Jordans and Nike, like all the shoe design. That is a very interesting episode. I really like that one also.
Got it.
And then what else? What kind of documentaries? I usually just go through. I like documentaries which are very old format, not very newish kind of documentary. I like when there's like very simple, low quality production stuff where you don't have fancy mics. you don't have really like good cameras and all, but you're just documenting everything on the go. Like there's some art documentaries like that which I really love, the old-timey ones. Even the voice recordings are very muffled.
Yeah.
So I like those kind of documentary, which is very raw and very crude.
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of documentaries that I liked. There's one series which is all about art. I forgot the name of the page, there's one documentary on Francis Bacon. He is one of my favorite painters and contemporary artists. He also passed away. So that's a brilliant documentary. You can just Google or YouTube it, just Francis Bacon documentary. I think that's the first thing that will come up. And then, of course, I love Cosmos. I love both the Carl Sagan one and the Neil deGrasse Tyson one. Both of them, I love both of the documentaries. And what else is there? Do you think that's a documentary? I don't know.
Which one?
Cosmos.
It's a docu-series.
The docu-series.
Yeah.
Docu-series.
Yeah, it's a docu-series.
Docu-series, yeah.
Yeah,
So I think...
So Abstract is also a docu-series.
So Abstract, then Cosmos, then what else is there? I really like this one also, Defiant Ones, which came out about the hip hop movement and everything. And then what else is there?
No, it's not necessary. हम और भी चीजें की recommendation, like in movies also you can recommend. It's not necessary that it has.
I keep forgetting even other movies, documentary movies. So there's one documentary I think on Dune. Yeah, we all know there's a new Dune now.
Yeah.
There's one old Dune.
David Lynch one.
David Lynch one was also made. But before that, there was one more Dune which was being made by Alejandro
For
Jodorowsky.
reference, let me get that. I saw all these things when I came in.
Yeah. So I feel like he's one of my favorite filmmakers. I would say film artist because he is sort of like a visionary when it came to expressions, and all the pieces that he did was so experimental.
Yeah, this image.
Yeah, this is from Holy Mountain. Like so symbolic, his use of symbolism, his use of characters, and it was done way before his time. I think he was way more progressive and way ahead of his time when he was doing all of this. So this one, and from filmmaker to prophet. So he can be considered as a prophet filmmaker.
Yeah.
And these are all from his movie Dune. They had actually some of the biggest names casted in that movie when they were doing Dune. And all the modern science fiction stuff that we see is sort of borrowed from the screenplay and the storyboard that he had done. Starting from Star Wars to Matrix to all of the long shots, everything was actually sort of created when he was making that movie Dune, which never got made. And it was way before Star Wars and all the other science fiction boom that happened. So for this particular thing, he had this Mobius. He was a very influential artist and illustrator of his time. He had hired him to make the storyboards. He had hired the guy who made all the spaceships and the space designs and all the stuff for Star Wars was on his roster for creating all the concept art. He had got Pink Floyd to do the music. He had got Salvador Dali as one of the actors. He had Salvador Dali, he had H.R. Geiger. All of these artists, all of these people were actually cast as his character in his movies. I mean, Pink Floyd scoring an entire movie, wouldn't you it would have been something else. And then you have Dali playing one of the evil characters, the negative characters in the movie, Salvador Dali. And there's a funny conversation. Because Dali, you know how eccentric Dali was.
Yeah.
So after trying multiple times, he finally met Dali at a dinner table, like a big, long dinner table. And he would ask questions in riddles. Like, it was me and Picasso, we were walking by the beach, and there were footsteps on the sands. And what does that mean? Or some weird question he'll ask, and Jodorowsky would answer something random. And they had all the conversations were in forms of metaphors. And then finally he asked him, would you like to be an actor in my movie? And Dali's when Dali acts, he wants to be the highest paid actor. Because he always referred to him in third person, right? So he would say, I want to be the highest paid actor ever in the world if I'm acting. Then he said, okay, how do you do that then? So what he did, he clocked a timing, like his screen time. So he'll be the highest paid actor per minute. So that way he can actually be a highest paid actor, but also he can manipulate the screen time so that his cost is also managed.
Nice.
So that way he got Dali on board, he got Pink Floyd on board, he had Mobius doing all his artwork stuff. He had H.R. Geiger, who's also one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to art and stuff. He did all of Alien. You know, the Alien franchise, the movie, the Alien was created by him. All the set, the prosthetic, the costume, the idea, everything was done by him. Even he made the mic stand that Korn sings with, Jonathan Davis uses. So he was also there in the movie, but unfortunately, there were two storyboards made, like thick books, and was given to one, I think WB and all, and they all laughed. Like, oh, are you mad? Who's gonna make this movie? This kind of movies don't work. Like no production house is gonna make this. And they turned it down and the movie never got made. But when the storyboard was there with the other production houses, they started taking ideas from it. They started using it in Star Wars, they started using it in other science fiction movies. When the whole time changed and people got into science fiction stuff, they were kind of taking references from his stuff. So it can be considered as the first Bible of science fiction movies. Modern science fiction movies.
True. We have short on time and but there are there were so many things I wanted to talk to you about. So I think we should also definitely do a part 2 of this sometime.
Yeah, we can just go on talking from
this is we just started from there and we never stopped. But are there any particular things you would like to talk about? Hey, before we wrap this is
I mean, nothing, man.
Okay.
I mean, we've covered anything, and most of my story, I think I'm tired of talking about where I come from, what I've done, what I've won.
Hence, we don't go into it.
Exactly.
वो मिल जाएगा Wikipedia.
वो मिल जाएगा. Okay, on the internet, people are smart enough to figure it out.
But what are the next few things you're working on? Let's end it on that.
I'm in a grand reset mode right now. I am just...
This is such a nice line. I'm on a grand reset mode.
Yeah. I would say right now I'm in a point in my life where I'm actually going through a grand reset when it comes to my perspective, when it comes to my art, when it comes to everything around me. And I'm rediscovering a lot of things. Like, for example, like I said, after almost 20 years of just drawing, I'm going back to painting.
Nice.
Like, I'm starting fresh to paint, to learn. And I'm starting it as a child. For me, everything comes from my childhood. So even drawing, I've been drawing since a kid. And the first thing that I used to draw, now I'm using those same elements, those things, but to paint. That's a sort of like a grand reset in my whole approach to art. And I'm taking things slow at a time because I was, for the past few years, in a very headstrong moment where I had to succeed.
Yeah.
Like when I need to be out there, people should know me. I'm an artist, this, that, all that. And I'm like, nah. I've sort of lost that fun thing that I had in me. Art has always been fun to me. The process was fun to me. It was funny, it was amusing, it's entertaining for me.
And you're going back to that.
And I'm going back to that. It's very innocent for me. And now I've slowly started losing that thing. Then I realized, okay, I can't do this. If I lose that innocence, if I lose that drive to have fun when I'm creating something, just a simple dick in my painting, for example.
Yeah.
If I lose that dick in my painting, if I stop having a smile while looking at it, there's no point that I can keep doing it for the next 10 hours, 10 years or 20 years. So I took a step back and I'm like, nope, I need to work on myself, get that feeling, that expression back, and then start all over again.
Metaphorically speaking, it is all about saving that dick in the painting.
Exactly. Perfectly put. Oh fuck, I love that.
The corporations will come, the brands will come.
Yeah.
But let me have that dick in the painting.
Just one day.
And if it is there, you can go on forever.
Exactly.
On that note,
that's a perfect way to end this, man.
We can end the Shandu. This was amazing, and guys, do follow Shantanu on Instagram, and like where all can they like find your work? Like there's
Instagram, that's it.
Yeah, so you should follow him on Instagram.
Or Threads.
How many followers do you have on Threads now?
I think around 7,000, 8,000.
Nice. So this is amazing, and like this is going to be a very different kind of an episode. Like the way we shot it,
Yeah.
like, and it'll be very interesting. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, man, I had like amazing. I usually I like to talk, but this was a very different interview because I was not talking the same thing that I say in almost all my interviews.
We call ourselves conversationalists, not interviewers.
Oh, perfect. I love it. It was exactly like a conversation. That's why I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank
This
you for
was
coming
amazing.
over, man.
Thank you.